Hello scrappers and planet lovers, Tin Man here with another video. So an interesting one today. I'm going to be taking apart this centrifuge that I found in a dumpster. As promised to some of my viewers, I wanted to make a separate video opening this up, showing you what's inside, because if you're like me, I've never seen what's inside, so curiosity. Just from looking at this, there is some great scrap value here. This is 100% scrappable. And what I want to do today is show you how to identify the material and, more importantly, maximize your profit and divert this entire thing away from what have been the landfill. So gonna start first just to show the outside of this, put a magnet to it. It is magnetic, this case here. And I did also have to make sure that I washed this. There was a sign on here that said urine, 2300 RPM per minute. So it is bleached, it is clean. And I will say I have also, for the sake of time, gone ahead and removed some of the screws just to speed up the process. But this right here, this case here is very heavy. And this, because it is magnetic, is going to give me tin price. Currently right now in Sarnia, Ontario, tin is going for about 10 cents a pound Canadian. In London, Ontario, it's going for about 14 cents a pound Canadian. And tin right now is an excellent price. It continues to stay high. And one of the most common items you're going to find on scrap. It does not take a lot to add up in weight, so it is a great score. The rest of this case, however, as you can see, if I put a magnet to it, it is metal, but it is non-magnetic. So this outer casing here is actually cast aluminum. And cast aluminum is going for about 56 cents a pound. So a lot better than the tin up here. And I do want to make sure that I separate it to get the higher value for this. There are, as you can see, some knobs and levers here. So there is going to be some circuit boards in here. And on the bottom, I will open this, but this is just a cylindrical dome. There is some grinding dust in here still because I did have to do a little bit of grinding to get these bolts off. But the rest of this is going to be just tin. Gonna close it, open it up, and again, as I said, I have already removed the pieces, but I want to show the first item. This is the bottom plate for this, and notice this is non-magnetic here. There is a couple magnetic bolts that are holding in this transformer, but this entire sheet is actually going to give me clean aluminum price once I remove the screws. And clean aluminum right now is going for about 50 to 55 cents a pound. So very nice piece of clean aluminum. There are two transformers on here, as you can see. And if I bring them up to the camera, I'm going to show you just on this one. Hopefully I can find the sun to glisten off that wire. Where is that wire? Right in here. So try to get the sun off of that. But right in there. This does have copper wire inside of it. This is an older style transformer that has the paper around it. And there are separate categories at scrap yards for transformers. They're about 25 cents a pound. But these two, because I can see the copper windings in here, they are going to be worth a lot more separating it. That copper is going to give me number 2 copper price, which is about $4.45 a pound. And the great thing about this is once I remove the casing out of this and remove the wire, the rest of this shell is going to give me tin price. So I am getting 100% scrap value and a lot more money for the copper separating it than I would get for the transformer. So I am not going to actually take these two transformers apart for this video. I will include in my description the link to the video to take apart transformers. Very easy to do, but I think great item to make sure you separate, because you are going to get more from the copper separating it than transformer price. Okay, there are a couple screws, and again, in order to get the clean price, you do have to remove the screws. But one thing I did notice about some of the screws in here, there are some that are magnetic that you can see on my magnet here, but there are some as well that came off of here like that are non-magnetic. You can see the magnet does not stick. So these are actually going to give me stainless steel price. And right now, stainless steel, non-magnetic stainless steel is going for about 77 cents a pound. What I do is I will gather these up into a small container. This is just a stainless steel thermos. I'll fill that up and I'll get about 7 to 8 pounds worth of stainless just from my different types of screws and bolts. So you do want to check to see if they are magnetic or not. Some will actually also come in brass, so you do want to check those. If they are magnetic, caution to my viewers, to scrappers out there, amateurs or pros. One thing that really gets me when I go to a scrapyard is seeing scrappers bringing in a load with loose buckets of nails or just in the back of their truck. Those are definitely a hazard, not only to drivers going into the scrapyard, but also on the road. So I like to have all my screws and nails and all those that I find on scrap first on a magnet. I will put them into a closed container, and then I will put them off to the side and give them to the scrap yard men so that they can get rid of them safely and we don't potentially damage anyone's vehicle. So screws, they are tin as well if they are magnetic. So again, gonna get 10 cents a pound for these. And I have huge buckets of these that I bring in, easy to get. As well, I have never had to buy nuts and bolts for years now because of scrapping, because there are a lot that you can get on here and reuse. Okay, but great items here. Inside of this, there were a few control panels that I wanted to look at. As well, the appliance wire, I'm just going to cut this here, but a really nice appliance wire cord. This is going to give me, at a scrapyard, what we call 40% appliance wire. Notice inside of that, there are 3 strands of copper and outer coating. So this is right now going for about $1.56 a pound. It does have some really nice yellow brass prongs on it. Some people will leave them on for the weight. I do take these off and put them in my brass because brass right now is going for about $3.50 a pound. So I have a nice big bucket of them. But again, it does depend on the scrapper and how many appliance wires you have. I find stuff all the time, so it does add up for me. But again, a nice appliance wire here that is a great value. There is a little bit inside of here too that I'm going to take, so I want to make sure I get it all. Inside of here, there was several different circuit boards. This is the first circuit board that I wanted to look at. And notice there is a lot of wire that comes off of this circuit board. This wire here would be your upgraded value. There is only one coating of plastic, the strands of copper inside. So this is going to be your 60% appliance wire. And currently this wire here is actually going for about $2.50 a pound. So you do want to make sure you separate it. I have had questions from some of my viewers about items like this. What do you do with this? In order to not get downgraded, I will actually cut from here and here. This piece here, because these have brass prongs in them, I actually put them into a bucket like this, and I will actually get dirty brass price for that, and those are going for about 19 cents a pound. If I was to leave these on with my 60% appliance wire, I am gonna get downgraded because this is a lot of plastic, and the scrap yards will look at plastic to copper ratio and copper recovery. So I do cut that, but this wire, you want to make sure that you separate it from your 40%. This aluminum or casing to this circuit board is actually aluminum. It's an aluminum heat sink. Even though it is painted black, it is going to give me about 50 cents a pound. There are a couple interesting items in here. You can definitely see the brass from the plug ends. I do cut those off. But one item of interest on these, anytime you have aluminum heat sinks, it is going to be these prong connectors that connect to this aluminum heat sink. And I am just going to pull one out for this video just to show you. So here is my screw. I'm holding on to the nut on the other side. But I actually had a talk with my father a couple days ago. I was visiting and I mentioned these prongs. And you will find these not only on heat sinks, but you will also find them just randomly on circuit boards as well. Some of them are very easy to identify because they will have the copper tops to them. Some of them will be entirely in black, okay? But this right here is actually going to be classified as number 2 copper. I've already scratched it with my side cutter there, just for the sake of this video. But if I take a file just to show you further, you can see right there the top, that is copper. So you don't have to remove the plastic from this. You can just throw this right into your number 2 copper. And I have a really nice bin. You can see they come in different sizes, but there is actually 10 pounds here. So again, at $4.45 a pound, these do add up. Okay, so there were 5 on this aluminum heatsink. The rest of this circuit board, I might just get that little copper donut, break it open and get that copper. There's not much there, but it will add up. The rest of this circuit board is going to be e-waste, low-grade board, because there are no precious metals on there. Going to give me 5 cents a pound for that. Okay, but you definitely want to make sure that you get your clamps. Okay, this one here, another example of a heat sink that came off of here. Here, again, as I mentioned, you don't always have to have them connected to heat sinks. Okay, so this one again has a metallic top, but this too is going to be number 2 copper. So I will pull that off. There is a small transformer on this one. These little transformers do add up with copper. I open them up, get the tins separated. I do actually have another video that I will include that deals with small transformers from circuit boards. Are they worth opening? How much do you get from it? Yes, all copper. Treat it like your scrapper's gold. It does add up, and these are 100% scrappable. This box here is a giant relay box. There were actually 2 of them. This one was another one, different ones. And I am not going to open these for now. I do want to see if I can resell these. But what's interesting about your relay boxes, given the size of this, first of all, they're huge. But if I was to bring this up to the camera, you can see right inside of there are a lot of prongs that are touching. Trying to get, so right behind that number, you can see there is a little bit of copper going down to that. And every one of those little dots on the bottom, you can just make them out on the bottom, are going to have a small bit of silver. So just to show you one, this is another example of a relay box. Often talk about those, but that is what it's going to look like. The little dot on that silver, or on that dot, so there's a small speck on that silver circle there. There is a little bit of silver on that. So that's a little silver contact. Okay, so free silver there. Some people will say, you know, just sell the relays online. Again, you can look for that. There are people that will buy them. Some of the older style relay boxes are actually made of gold. They have a little speck of gold on them. So there are different types for sure, but a couple relay boxes. The other thing about these relay boxes is you can see that cylinder there that has some tape around it. There is a little spool of copper in there as well. So if I can't resell this online, I will crack the plastic open, get those silver contacts, get that copper, okay? But relay boxes for sure, okay? The other thing I have had a question about is micro scrapping, and I will deal with that with gold and other palladium items and precious metals, but little MLCCs like this, okay? I have a small one. Oh, there is actually a little bit of gold on the circuit board. Look at that, right there. That little prong there, that is gold-plated pins on that, so I do want to make sure that I get that. But you will want to make sure you look at your stuff. But this MLCC here, if I was to cut it, which I'm going to do, I have seen different research. Some people will say your brown MLCCs like that, if they are magnetic, they do not contain the precious metal. If they are non-magnetic, they can contain palladium. So I have not done a conclusive test on that yet, but for now, I do separate them. But let's see what this one is. So there it is on my hand. Oh, it is magnetic. So I do separate them. Magnetic, again, I will put it off the side. I do find a lot of the non-magnetic ones on your old CRT TVs as well as your computer monitors. So again, stay tuned to that. A little bit more research. I do not refine it yet, but again, given the price of palladium, I could sell them online to someone who does refine them, okay? But again, there are other items in here. Another type of little board. There are a couple small relay boxes right there. Anytime you have a clicky noise, so this has some clickies right there. So there are 1, 2. These are the same type of relay boxes you're going to find on microwave doors, okay? There is a little bit of metal in here. There is going to be a copper motor, but I do have to remove the pin out of here. Okay, but again, a small copper motor in here. This is aluminum, so again, another aluminum heat sink. I do have to clean it off to get the clean aluminum price, because you can see that it is mixed with tin. If I was to bring this in, I'm going to get tin price. So definitely want to separate it, because 50 cents a pound compared to 10 cents a pound, you want to maximize your profit. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about is this here. Okay, this is your motor. I do have a few bolts that I had to get out. Okay, really interesting heavy piece of cast aluminum here. I am looking forward to the final weights, and I will include those in my description in the bottom. But I want to get that motor because there is copper that I can see, and I did start taking it apart. Okay, again, there is my core right here. I did have a piece of rubber on here that sealed this, so I did have to cut that off. I need to get my last few screws so I can actually get to this motor. I'm hoping it's going to work. If it doesn't, I may have to just, postpone and see what I get later. But where's my magnet? Now it disappeared. Everything's magnetic around here. There it is. So here I got a little bit of mixed wire. So this core here is tin. The bottom here is tin or magnetic. And I do want to address that question. Someone asked the difference between tin and steel. I do get people that say, well, that's not really tin. At a scrapyard, you have different classifications. So tin or shred is one category, and that is any type of magnetic material like this that is thinner than a 1/4 inch. Anything that is thicker than a 1/4 inch is steel. So this is borderline, but this, for the sake of this, because I only have a little bit of steel, I'm just going to throw it right in with my tin. Steel is a couple cents more, but it's not worth my time driving to a different pile and separating it that way. If I had a whole load of it, then I would, but this is mixed, okay? But for the sake of this, I'm just going to throw this right into my tin. I have a few screws inside of here. I'm hoping this lets go. If I can even get these screws out. If I can't, then I am going to have to postpone. And all right, maybe I have to change this sometimes. All right, I have to change my screw head. That's what's nice about having one of these quick changeovers. You've got different types of nuts to quickly change, get on there, hopefully depending on the type of screw. So hopefully this is going to work a little bit better than there we go. Sometimes your flathead's not going to work, but having some wrenches and different Allen key sets are way better. So again, I want to check these, see if they're magnetic. They're magnetic, so they're going to be tin. Okay, I got 4 screws to go. Just opening this. Hopefully this bottom thing drops out, because I really want you to see the copper motor that is inside of here. Again, copper motor. These copper motors are a lot like your motors from regular appliances and electronics, but that is going to have a really nice armature inside of it. It is going to have, there we go. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. Look at that. Boom. So it's got a really nice cast shell to it. I do have to remove my last couple screws, and I do want to make sure I check this casing. These casings are actually going to be either cast aluminum or they can be zinc. One way to check, and I know people have confusions on that, zinc, usually if you look at zinc, it looks almost like that someone put some oil in a puddle. It's got that rainbow effect, if you will. Okay, but aluminum doesn't have that look. So this is probably going to be cast aluminum. Okay, but I might have to somehow break this open. I'm gonna have to see if I can hit it with a hammer. Okay, there are a couple, this little guy right here. There is an armature. There we go, holding that in. So you can see really nice motor inside. I do want to check this. There is magnets on this holding it in. Okay, so if I put a magnet to this, it is magnetic. So I'm not even going to bother taking the magnets out. I'm going to throw this into my tin pile. if I was to throw this outer casing into a dirty cast, I'm only getting about 5 cents a pound. So I'm gonna get a lot more from the tin. The copper windings here, these are the same types that you get from your vacuum cleaners. Very easy to open, and I do have a video showing you how to open motors. I will include that, but I do want to scratch it to see if these windings are copper or aluminum. If I was to scratch it and it showed a metallic look, it means that they're going to be aluminum. But notice, look at that, that is copper. So this is all going to be number 2 copper. I'm going to take that out of there, get a lot more for that copper. I'm still going to throw the rest of this into my dirty or tin. I have an armature here. I do have a video showing you how to take apart these armatures and get that copper out. It does depend, in my opinion, on the type of armature you have. Either way, if you didn't want to take out the copper, you can still throw this into your copper bearing motors and get your 20 cents to 25 cents a pound for that. And the rest of this shell is going to give me tin price. So a great item here. Do have to pop that off, get that out, but a nice armature. And again, I do have videos showing you how to do that and if they're worth it. So I'm going to put those videos in the description. Go check those out if you're interested. Okay, all in all, as mentioned, so this rest of this case, once I remove these knobs, some really nice cast aluminum here, some really nice tin, my money prize, the 2 transformers, and the copper bearing motor, as well as an appliance wire. Again, another big item diverted from the landfill. I don't find these often, but again, interest, curiosity promoted me to put this on there, or made me put this on to the channel here. So glad to do it. Glad to take it apart and show people what's inside. Hope you enjoyed that. Please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Tin Man out.